Hi, this is David Slipoliski, one of the co-editors on the Fits on the Go blog. I'm privileged to be here with Dr. Stevenson, who is the program director of the Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston for the Advanced Heart Failure Transplant program. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Stevenson.
It's great to be here, David.
Dr. Stevenson, can you give us a bit of a background of how you got into the field of advanced heart failure transplant, particularly considering that the subspecialty fellowship is quite new?
Well, David, I think this is one of the most interesting things to think about. Of course, when I started, not only was there no advanced heart failure fellowship, there was no heart failure fellowship at all. There wasn't even a heart failure field. Transplant was relatively new, and those of us who got into transplant were basically filling a new niche, hadn't been there before, and the heart failure piece kind of came along as a result of that. It was sort of our pre-transplant clinic became heart failure, so it's changed incredibly in the last 30 years. And one of the things I think is so important is for everybody to realize how fast everything is changing.
That's quite interesting, and I'm sure it must have been quite interesting being a part of all of these changes. There is a big trend towards fellows becoming interested in this field. What advice can you give to first or second year cardiology fellows who would like to go into advanced heart failure and transplants?
Well, I think the first thing is you gotta love it. And people pretty much know if they love it, if they're bitten by the hemodynamic picture, and they want to know where's the flow, where's the pressure, what's happening, then probably heart failure is a good place to be. One of the interesting things that I think heart failure offers, it is intersection of almost all of cardiology. The arrhythmias, the echo, the imaging, the acute coronary syndrome, the CCU, everything comes together in heart failure.
So it seems like it's a field of a culmination of practically the entirety of cardiology as well as even medicine to an extent. Dr. Stevenson, for advanced heart failure transplant, from a future perspective, where do you see the field going?
Well, once again, from where I've been, I can tell you that I don't think we have any idea what's in the future. Clearly, cardiac transplant is becoming a much smaller piece of this, and I anticipate that it will become an even smaller piece because everything else is getting so much bigger. VADs are now outstripping transplant in terms of the numbers that we're doing, and certainly the successes of our heart failure therapy, as well as the aging of the heart failure population, has created this huge bubble of heart failure that's just going to keep growing. So I think we're going to see many things that we haven't seen before. It's growing very fast.
And do you think the subspecialty fellowship will turn into a 2-year program, or perhaps will break up into separate heart failure and transplant programs? What do you foresee in the future?
Well, I think it's a very interesting question. When the fellowship was designed, we originally wanted to have a heart failure fellowship and then to have transplant and VAD be kind of an optional adjunct to that, because we recognize that there's so much greater need for the medical management of heart failure. And I think it's a bit of the artifact of the way that board certification comes about that they wanted to put it all together. But we always anticipated that eventually we were going to see a branching of people who want to do primarily medical heart failure and those people who want to do transplant and VAD. Whether or not that will turn into 2 different arms for fellowship, or whether it will just be a slightly different emphasis on training, it's going to depend on many things. But to be honest with you, David, it's going to depend who pays for fellow training, exactly how it's going to be constructed.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with the field in the future, but I think a lot more people are going to come into it, and really it's a very, very dynamic field. Very, very exciting, very, very interesting. Dr. Stevenson, thank you again so much for joining us today with the Fits on the Go blog. To see more videos similar to this, please join us at www.youtube.com/fitsonthego.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.